All right, welcome back to another episode of Road to Retirement. Tony Marlette Jr. and Tony Shore over at Gradient in Minneapolis. Good morning, Tony.
Well, good morning, Tony, to you. I'm doing great today. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on your show, Tony. And I'm looking forward to our topic. I've been doing good. How about you? I'd like to say I'm getting outside, but this air, right?
Yeah, same. I mean, I've been kind of stubborn about it. I go for my walks regardless, unless it's really bad.
Yeah,
Um, but I know my wife has some allergies, and we have a newborn. Obviously, she hasn't been taking him out as much during the day as I think she'd like to, or that she used to. So, they say just like anything else, if you have the compromised allergies, or you're elderly or very young on the flip side, you probably want to limit your time outside.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how all those fires in Canada can cause this, and it's sad that that's happening up there too. Um, but other than that, I think things are good, and you've been busy, obviously, with a new addition and the young one, the baby in the house, and you said now the baby isn't taking as many naps, so you're dealing
Yeah,
with that.
he's been a little crabby. He's overall, I mean, we've really been pretty spoiled. He's very calm. He does, I'm not going to say he never cries, but he cries when he's hungry. He lets us know
Sure.
when he's agitated.
Yeah.
But for him not napping, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's going to be huge, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been sleeping pretty well through the night, but like I don't know what he thinks he's missing out on by staying awake.
Right.
We're not that exciting people. We're really not that much fun anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, it's just they go through these phases. I've had 3 of my own, so I've been there.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm sure. And we just try, you try to roll with the different phases that they go through. Obviously, at this point, there's not a lot that we can do. We can't tell him anything. He's not listening. He doesn't listen to us. Like,
Right. Well, yeah. You can't talk to them about it,
right.
really. That's a little hard at this point. The communication isn't there. But yeah, I remember when our firstborn, Adam, wouldn't we would put him in his car seat and drive him around, and that would always put him to sleep. And so if we were desperate, we'd load him in the car and just drive,
Yeah.
honestly, or put him in the stroller and push him around a mall, and that those two things would usually do it.
Interesting. I've
Yeah.
heard the car seat thing. Whenever we take him somewhere, he usually does fall asleep. And then the minute
Oh
we
yeah.
take him out, he's wide awake again.
Yep. Yep. So going for a drive, but yeah, that's true. Sometimes we were fortunate with Adam. A lot of times, if we could get him asleep in the car and we were real careful bringing him into the house, he might wake up a little, but then go back to sleep. So, but I remember having to do that even in the middle of the night when he was teething and stuff. Would just put him in the car and drive around
Wow.
so he would fall asleep.
Wow. Middle of the
Yeah.
night like that.
Yeah, even in the middle of the night because it was the only way, or if you have a rocker or something, sometimes you got to wrap them tight, hold them tight, and rock. Or the steady movement is what does it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. He loves we have one of the jumpers,
Oh,
where put him on the countertop if we're making dinner, and it just kind of goes back and forth.
yep.
I mean, that's magic.
Yeah, it is. It is magic. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Well, kids aside, we're talking about finances today. What do you have for us? What's our topic today, Tony?
Well, I wanted to go over some financial trends that we're seeing a lot of. Before we do that, just want to let you know, if you love what we say, you hate what we say, that's okay too. You
We
can
want to
reach
hear
us.
from you, right?
Right. This is not just one opinion or anything.
Right.
Uh, we're not cable news. So
Right.
440-886-3550 is the best way to reach us. You can visit us online, brooksidetax.com, YouTube and Facebook as well. Our marketing staff does a really nice job of keeping all those up.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about some financial trends that we're seeing more of in 2023 and that we expect to see more going forward. And this really, none of these concepts are going to be new to anybody. It's just the adaptation or the adoption of them, I think, is really one thing that we're seeing. So
Sure.
personal finance apps. A lot of times people, we meet with people, they'll say something along the lines of, how are you competing with, the apps of the world? You're a small business, we're a small RIA. We'll talk a little bit more about the RIA, but how are you competing with the apps of the world? And I always tell people, like, I like having those, and I think those work
Oh yeah.
for us because a lot of times you don't need professional money management for your entire life. So if you're in your 20s, your mid 20s, whatever it may be, even if you're still in school, um, having an app like Venmo or Mint or Acorns. I used to be a pretty big Acorns guy. What's the original one was Mint, which is like a substitute to
Yeah.
Quicken.
Yep, Quicken, then it was first it was just Quicken, then it was
Right.
Mint. I now my wife and I for budgeting software and app use You Need a Budget, YNAB. And that's actually a really good program. I like
All right,
that one.
good.
Yeah.
Well, see, we got an endorsement out of it too.
Yeah.
So if
Well,
Tony
they're all
Shore
good.
endorses it, I would
Yeah.
say use it.
Yeah, it's a good one. You need a budget, but I think everybody does need a budget. People hate that word, the B word. It's like a dirty word, but if you use an app, it makes it a lot easier. It can link right to your checking account, and you can upload, your transactions right into it, and then categorize each charge, and so you see what you're spending, where your money is going, and that helps so much. And it helps your financial advisor. When people come in and they have a budget and they know what they spend each month, that's huge
Bingo.
in making a retirement plan, right?
Yeah, for sure. And these apps take a lot. If we didn't have any of these apps and somebody, I used to work for Charles Schwab, and we had somebody come in more than a few times that, like, you know, had a couple dollars in their pocket, and they wanted to know, like, what can you do for me? And I'm being literal here. I'm being literally serious. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you want. Like, this is not effective for anybody. So I think if you're looking at something like that, Acorns is an app that'll take change from your purchases and put it into a mutual fund or an ETF. And like
Yes,
I said,
Acorn can do that. That's great.
that's
Yeah.
fantastic. And I mean,
Yeah.
you may think, well, okay, what's 25 or 50 cents? I mean, if you keep doing that over time, I did Acorns for a little while, and I eventually moved that money into an investment account that's still around that really kind of got me started on some of this stuff. And
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
a good practice.
And it adds up over time, and especially when it comes to investments, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the idea to constantly be contributing, whether it's a small amount or large amount, whatever you can? If you're regularly putting money into an investment account, then it's really going to grow over time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Dollar cost averaging. So anybody with
Yeah.
a 401k out there or a employer retirement plan knows about dollar cost averaging. You're putting money in at regular intervals, and you're taking advantage of the market when it's down because you're buying more shares. You're not buying as much when it's up. But when the market goes up, since you were buying at a discount, you have more in your account to reflect that uptick.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, on a regular interval, putting money into an account like that, like a 401k or an IRA, something like that, that's really good. And I didn't realize now You Need a Budget is mainly just budgeting. I don't think it has the investment option. I like that about Acorn. That's really cool.
Yeah, and the thing about the budget that you mentioned, you need a budget that I like you said, somebody can come in prepared. If you are meeting with an advisor or a tax professional, you can come in and say, these are my expenses, this is what we're looking at, rather than not thinking about it ahead of time or just kind of having a vague idea. I mean, a vague idea of expenses is fine, but a lot of times people will shoot out numbers and they might be more than 50% off. They might not even realize it. And I think that's
Right.
where the value comes in.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think the bottom line though is there's no app that can replace or should replace a financial advisor because there is no app that does what a financial advisor does. I mean, you can do a lot online and there are online calculators, but you can't come up with an overall comprehensive, holistic financial plan, retirement income plan that incorporates how to maximize Social Security, figuring for inflation, healthcare costs, and creating a retirement income that won't run out before you do. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're
No,
not going to run
exactly.
out of money in retirement. There's no app that can do that for you.
Yeah, you're correct. And I mean, these apps are designed to help you save and invest and budget. But to your point, when you go to this, you mentioned the calculator. We're in the midst of purchasing a home now, so I've used mortgage calculators for, what can you afford? What are rates going to do to your mortgage payment? What are property taxes going to do? But I certainly went to the mortgage company and to a realtor and said, okay, this is what we're looking at. You guys do it because I'm not doing this myself.
Right. Right. Yeah, you still want a professional involved, that's for sure. Well, that's great. What's number 2?
This one, you get people to either roll their eyes or pump their fists with cryptocurrency. So we're not.
I'm rolling my eyes at this point.
I've been kind of a mixture on both. I can, the uncertainty of it is a little worrisome. The big thing, as of the end of 2021, cryptocurrency, we had about $2.8 trillion
Yeah.
in cryptocurrency. We're seeing venture capitalists and small business utilizing this technology 5 times more than they were in at the end, as of the end of 2021. And there's a couple things that the government's even getting involved in, and you're a threat to something when the government's getting involved in
Yep.
regulating it. So it's
Yeah.
on every tax return now. We do taxes. It's on literally every tax return. You have to answer cryptocurrency question. And there's been some talk that the Biden administration has appointed somebody to do a government-run cryptocurrency. I think the headlines are not, and the optics have not been good.
The
Indexes have
last
collapsed.
Yeah, last year it really started to go down. I mean, along with some banks, cryptocurrency started to collapse. Some of the companies.
Yeah, and I mean, think of it this way too. Even if you're nervous about jumping into it, just like anything else, I would certainly with cryptocurrency. I don't think anybody would disagree with this. You do not want to put more than a percentage or two of your overall assets into this because it is extremely volatile.
Yeah.
Right now, it's volatile because there's only a certain amount of mining and coins and things like that people can do. Once it stabilizes or once we start to see a little bit more, it's a very finite number. I think maybe we'll see some stability. But the appeal to me in this is for people who, we're going through times of inflation. People argue that the government manipulates the currency, and there's people out there that believe in modern monetary theory where you do not need to pay any attention to the national debt. You literally just print more money. And there's people that are serious about this, believe it or not, politicians and respected financial people that are serious about modern monetary theory, and it is gaining some traction.
I know it is.
Cryptocurrency is a perfect way to combat that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's crazy. I've heard, financial minds and some politicians say you don't even need to worry. The national debt doesn't matter.
We're seeing the effects of that over the last 2 to 3
And I'm
years,
like
by
and
the
I'm
way.
like, it appears to matter when
Yeah.
inflation goes over 10%.
Yes.
How much does it matter that you printed money all throughout COVID?
Right.
6, 7 trillion, $8 trillion in 2 years. You can't spend $8 trillion in 2 years and not have.
Sure.
And over the last, I mean, it's weird for like so many years. The national debt was like, single digits. And then it went from single digits to like 30 trillion in like just a matter of a short time period. In
Yeah,
the grand scheme of things, that happened almost overnight.
for
I
sure.
mean, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, since they've been keeping track of our country, so that's not good.
No, and that's the thing too that we talked about on our podcast before. The last four presidential administrations have spent, you have two Democrats, two Republicans in there. They've spent more combined than the previous 42 administrations combined.
That's
And
insane.
that's factoring in inflation
Yeah.
and cost of living. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, the
So
last four presidents have spent more than all the presidents that came before them combined.
that's right.
That is that should make people sit up and
Yep,
take
absolutely.
notice.
Absolutely.
Vote
And then,
everyone out of office. If only we could have a clean slate, right?
yeah, yeah. Vote
Yes.
everybody out, and then we'd all be like, well, wait a minute. We should come up with a system where we vote people in, and if we don't like them, we just vote them out. And we'd have the same principles again, but
Yeah.
it would just be like it's just sometimes things just obviously go too far.
Yeah, obviously. All right, what's 3?
So three, to your point earlier, is professional money management. We're seeing an uptick with the RIA model. RIA is Registered Investment Advisor. It's essentially a firm that is managed by the Securities or regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, as opposed to a broker dealer, which is governed by FINRA. Now, RIAs are typically your smaller firms, like think of it like a craft beer, that have a fiduciary standard. A broker dealer will not have a fiduciary standard. That does not mean that if you work with an advisor at a broker dealer that they're not doing what's in your best interest. I'm not saying that at all, but RIA assets started off the year 2000 at about $20 trillion. We're up to about 110 trillion now being managed by RIAs across the country.
Right. People are seeing the value in working with an independent financial advisor who's a fiduciary, and that means they're held to a standard. They have to do what's in your best interest for your personal situation, and they're audited for that, and so they're held accountable for that, which is good. But also, they have access to all the options out there. They can work with any investment firm. They can work with any fund managers. They can work with any insurance company. And so they choose, okay, this insurance company offers this product which fits your needs perfectly, and this investment at this investment firm is actively managed and will really help you achieve your retirement goals. So we're going to do that, and here are your options, and they help you make better decisions. And the fact that they're independent, they're not beholden to one company with limited offerings.
That's right. Yeah. And to your point earlier about, digging into Social Security and income planning, we do all that too, obviously with help from Gradient.
Yeah.
And we put those plans together. And again, our goal is to work in your best interest. Not saying that other people don't, but there's a difference between, say, a suitability standard, which is do what's suitable for a client, which could be 4, 5, 6 different things. And you pick amongst those, or do hone in and focus on exactly what is in their best interest. What's the sole solution that is in their best interest? And the beauty of it is our fees are aligned and our costs are aligned that way. So we don't have, as Chris likes to say, the head trash of, well, this we make more money on versus if we do this. So that allows
right.
us.
That's not an issue, and you can't make those as a fiduciary. You're held to standards where you're not going to say, well, our firm will make more if you do this, so do this. You can't do that. You have to say, well, this is the best thing for you. And that's not how your fee structure is set up anyway. It's set up so that doesn't affect you. So that you're going to always do what's in your client's best interest. And that is why we're seeing this huge upsurge in people working with registered investment advisors like yourselves.
Yeah. And again, we talked about the finance apps earlier. I think the professional money management certainly has its place. I don't necessarily it depends where you're at in your life, where you're at in your savings, how much you have, and how much you feel comfortable with, quote unquote, doing it on your own or DIYing it. So I always say, the more serious you are about a goal and the closer you are to getting there, bring somebody in to help.
Yeah.
And that's where we come in.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a couple $100,000 in a 401k or $250,000 in a 401k or an IRA, and your wife has something like that, and you don't have a professional money manager, and you need to be working with a financial advisor at that point to get a plan in place and make sure that you're not making costly mistakes.
Right. And a lot of times when I look at what people have done so far, part of our job, we're not just like order takers and yes men and yes women. So a lot of what we do is we're going to poke holes, and we should poke
Oh,
holes
sure. Yeah.
because we have to say, well, yeah, you're doing this, everything's good. Maybe you've done a great job of saving, but you haven't looked at things in a long time, or you keep doing the same thing hoping to get the same results. What if that doesn't happen? What if this happens instead? What if Social Security is not fully funded? What if RMD age goes up again? So a part of our role is to be a little skeptical, be a little cynical, and put things into context and be as honest as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I think that makes perfect sense. I think that's good. So, wow, we've covered a lot today. If our listeners have questions or they want that no charge consultation, there's no charge, there's no obligation, and they can get a plan started, right?
Right. Yeah. Our initial consultation will cost you nothing. You reference this video or give us a call, 440-886-3550. Or as I mentioned before, you can visit us online at brooksidetax.com and check our YouTube and our Facebook page out as well. We do a Facebook page, a little bit about individual side of things, the family side of things, the personal side, and then the YouTube channel, old market updates that you can call me out for stuff that I may have missed, seminars, how to and how different solutions work, and a little bit about our process too.
That sounds great. Let's read that number and web address one more time before we go.
Yep, 440-886-3550, 440-886-3550, or brooksidetax.com.
All right. That's brooksidetax.com. And again, that number 440-886-3550. Don't pass up this opportunity to get that no charge consultation. Well, Tony, great show today. Great topic. And that does it for today's episode.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tony. Have a good day.
You too.